Welcome to JobSearchTV. When you sit down across from a hiring manager, you are entering high-stakes social theater, a direct test of your emotional regulation. You've likely felt your mind go entirely blank right after a difficult question. That freeze response is biological. Under extreme pressure, your body releases a surge of adrenaline, triggering a fight-or-flight reaction that literally hijacks your brain's executive function. You can manually override this reaction. Elite athletes use a strategy called a pre-performance routine, a structured step-by-step toolkit designed to regulate the body and mind before the pressure hits. By applying these same steps to your career, you take that uncontrolled panic response and replace it with a projected state of unflappable, authoritative confidence. Let's build your routine. Step 1 starts 2 minutes before your interview begins, ideally in a private space. You're going to adopt the Wonder Woman power pose, standing tall, chest out, hands on hips, taking up as much physical space as possible. If you look at high-status leaders facing immense pressure, you will notice they consistently utilize this exact open stance to project composure and authority. This chart illustrates quantitative findings from Harvard research on body language. It shows that holding this specific physical stance alters your brain chemistry. Testosterone, which drives confidence, rises by 20%, while cortisol, your primary stress hormone, drops by 25%. While holding this stance, you're going to apply a psychological technique called decatastrophizing. Mentally confront your worst-case what-if scenarios. What if I stumble on my words? What if I completely blank on a question? When you force yourself to confront those exact fears while physically holding a dominant, low-stress posture, you preemptively starve your brain of the stress hormones required to trigger a panic attack. As you walk into the interview room, recognize a cognitive trap called the spotlight effect. This is the false assumption that the interviewer is hyper-focused on judging your every physical movement and potential flaw. When you sit down and feel your heart start to race, use affect labeling. Silently tell yourself that you are feeling adrenaline because you care about the opportunity, actively identifying the physical sensation as productive energy rather than fear. Next, apply cognitive reframing. Instead of viewing the interviewer as a hostile judge interrogating you, shift your internal narrative to view them as a future peer and the interview itself as two teammates collaborating on a problem. By actively recategorizing the person across the table as a teammate, you neutralize your brain's threat detection system. This ensures your cognitive resources remain fully available to analyze and answer their questions. Even with strong preparation, a highly complex or aggressive question can catch you off guard, causing a sudden mid-interview spike in anxiety and physiological panic. When that happens, reach for your glass and take a slow sip of water. This simple, natural movement buys you 5 to 10 seconds of processing time without making you appear panicked or frozen. During that window, execute a physiological sigh. This is a rapid biological reset button that offloads the buildup of carbon dioxide in your system, immediately lowering your physiological arousal. This diagram outlines the exact mechanics of the sigh. You take a double inhale through the nose to fully inflate the air sacs in your lungs, followed by an extended 6-second exhale through the mouth. If your mind is still racing, rely on the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding backup method. Push your big toes firmly into the floor inside your shoes. That physical sensation forces your brain to process external stimuli instead of looping internally on anxiety. These tactical movements are entirely invisible to the hiring manager. They give you immediate manual control over your autonomic nervous system, keeping you grounded while seated right at the table. Eventually, you will face the notoriously anxiety-inducing question, what is your greatest weakness? This is a diagnostic of your self-awareness. When asked, apply the 3-second silence rule. Pause, give a slight genuine smile, and then begin. This delay projects gravitas and signals neurological safety to your own brain. Then you use a linguistic structure called the past tense buffer. You must place your flaw strictly in the past tense and your coping mechanism in the present tense. Rather than making a fatal, identity-based admission like, I am bad at delegating, you apply the formula, in the past I took on too much. Now I use a weekly delegation audit. That is your completed pre-performance routine. Hacking your posture, executing a cognitive reframe, managing your breathing with the physiological sigh, and applying the linguistic pivot. Successfully executing these techniques proves to the hiring manager that you possess the emotional intelligence and self-regulation required to handle high-pressure environments. If this routine helped you prepare, like this video, subscribe to JobSearchTV, and tell us your most panic-inducing interview question in the comments below. Applying this toolkit gives you the psychological infrastructure to remain present and composed during your most important career moments.